Friendship is often described in sweeping terms: loyalty, trust, shared experiences, but the reality is far subtler. Some people may appear friendly, yet hold hidden agendas, while others reveal their authenticity in quiet, consistent ways. Identifying true friends instantly requires attention, awareness, and insight, not assumptions, manipulation, or overconfidence. It is about reading patterns, signals, and behaviors probabilistically and allowing your discernment to guide engagement ethically. A true friend tends to act consistently even when there is nothing to gain. Their interest is observable in how they communicate, respond, and support without coercion or performance. They maintain presence in both calm and challenging moments, demonstrating reliability without needing to assert dominance. Conversely, superficial connections often fluctuate with convenience, mood, or self-interest. And observing these variations over time provides probabilistic insight into the quality of a relationship. Beyond behavior, subtle, non-verbal cues reveal authenticity. Eye contact, tone, gestures, and body language communicate intent in ways words often cannot. A true friend's energy is steady, engaged, and responsive, rather than performative or inconsistent. Importantly, these cues are probabilistic. No single behavior guarantees authenticity, but patterns tend to indicate reliability. Mutual respect and ethical engagement are central. True friends respect your boundaries, show curiosity about your perspective, and invest attention without pressure. They communicate openly yet consider your emotional space. These qualities increase the likelihood of meaningful connection, fostering trust and deepening engagement naturally. The path to identifying true friends is not about suspicion or overanalyzing every interaction. It is about cultivating self-awareness, ethical discernment, and patience, allowing you to observe patterns and tendencies clearly. By combining consistent observation, attentiveness, and reflection, you can recognize authenticity early without chasing, forcing, or misjudging. In a world where connections are abundant but often superficial, the ability to discern reliability, empathy, and ethical engagement is invaluable. True friends are not always the loudest, most visible, or most outgoing. They are often those whose consistency, and attentiveness, and ethical presence quietly stand out. Learning to notice these patterns equips you to invest in relationships that are mutually enriching and sustainable. Chapter 1: Understanding the Foundations of Genuine Friendship. True friendship is not defined by the number of shared experiences or frequency of contact. Instead, it rests on consistency, respect, and ethical engagement, qualities that often reveal themselves subtly and gradually. Identifying authentic friends begins with understanding these foundational principles, as they serve as the baseline for all probabilistic observations of behavior. The first step is self-awareness. Recognizing your own values, boundaries, and needs provides clarity on what constitutes a meaningful connection. Without this understanding, it becomes difficult to distinguish between genuine interest and superficial engagement. For example, if you value reliability, a friend who repeatedly fails to keep commitments may probabilistically be less authentic, even if their intentions appear positive. Awareness of your own expectations allows you to interpret others' actions thoughtfully, rather than reactively. Observing consistency is critical. A true friend behaves reliably across different situations, moods, and environments. They maintain engagement without requiring performance or excessive effort from you. This consistency is not absolute, as it should be understood probabilistically. Patterns of attention, support, and responsiveness provide stronger insight into authenticity than isolated incidents. A friend who shows up when needed, offers thoughtful support, and engages ethically over time is likely to possess genuine intentions. Nonverbal cues provide subtle guidance. While words are important, gestures, posture, eye contact, and tone often communicate authenticity more effectively. A friend who leans in attentively during conversation responds with calm composure and matches energy to the situation, signals presence and engagement. Conversely, inconsistent non-verbal behavior, distracted glances, rushed gestures, or mismatched tone can probabilistically indicate inauthenticity, particularly when paired with behavioral inconsistency. Empathy and ethical concern are hallmarks of a genuine friend. True friends demonstrate attentiveness to your needs without expectation or obligation. They respond thoughtfully to your successes, struggles, and vulnerabilities, supporting rather than exploiting your emotional state. Ethical concern is probabilistic. Observing repeated instances of thoughtful, considerate behavior strengthens the likelihood of authenticity. Friends who consistently show care without judgment or manipulation are more likely to be trustworthy over time, and respect for boundaries enhances insight. True friends understand and honor your limits, whether emotional, social, or practical. They do not pressure, guilt, or coerce you into action, allowing interactions to unfold naturally. Observing how someone navigates boundaries, both theirs and yours, provides probabilistic guidance on reliability and mutual respect. Friends who respond adaptively and ethically when limits are set tend to demonstrate long-term authenticity. Behavior in challenging situations reveals patterns. Stress, conflict, or disagreement often exposes underlying intentions. A friend who remains calm, communicative, and supportive during tension is likely to prioritize ethical engagement and mutual respect. Conversely, those who withdraw, manipulate, or escalate may probabilistically be less reliable. While no single moment guarantees insight, repeated observation of behavior in difficult circumstances strengthens probabilistic evaluation of authenticity. Mutual curiosity deepens connections. Authentic friends show interest in your perspective, experiences, and growth, and they share aspects of their own life in return. This reciprocity is not transactional. It is a reflection of engagement grounded in ethical interaction. And observing the balance of curiosity over time provides insight into the sustainability and depth of the friendship. Friends who engage thoughtfully without expectation are more likely to offer consistent and meaningful connection. Integration of presence and energy enhances discernment. Observing how someone's energy aligns with their words, how their attention is distributed, and how they respond to subtle social cues provides additional probabilistic insight into authenticity. Friends whose presence feels steady, reliable, and ethically grounded are more likely to be true allies in the long term. Reflection strengthens understanding. After interactions, consider how a person's behavior aligns with your values and expectations. Note patterns of consistency, empathy, curiosity, and boundary respect. Reflective awareness allows you to probabilistically distinguish between genuine and superficial engagement without relying on assumptions, fear, or overinterpretation. And ultimately, understanding the foundations of genuine friendship is the first step toward identifying true friends instantly. By combining self-awareness, observation of consistency, attention to non-verbal cues, respect for boundaries, empathy, ethical concern, and reflective practice, you increase the likelihood of recognizing authentic connections early. True friends are those whose actions, energy, and presence align reliably with ethical engagement and mutual respect. i.e., through probabilistic observation and ethical discernment, you can invest in relationships that are meaningful, enriching, and sustainable, allowing connections to grow organically rather than through chasing or overextension. Chapter 2. Spotting behavioral patterns that reveal authenticity. Identifying true friends instantly requires careful attention to behavioral patterns rather than isolated actions or empty promises. Authenticity is rarely revealed through a single gesture or word, but it emerges from consistent, ethical behavior over time. By observing patterns probabilistically, you increase the likelihood of recognizing genuine connections without forcing engagement or misjudging intentions. The first area to observe is reliability in everyday interactions. True friends tend to honor commitments, respond in a timely manner, and follow through on promises. While occasional lapses are natural, repeated attention to consistency provides strong insight into their authenticity. And for instance, someone who consistently attends meetings, follows up on conversations, or checks in thoughtfully demonstrates reliability and presence, signaling ethical engagement. Reciprocity in effort is another critical indicator. Authentic friendships involve a balanced exchange of attention, support, and consideration. Friends who invest time and energy proportionately without expecting manipulation or excessive return are more likely to be genuine. By observing how someone contributes during both calm and challenging moments, whether offering support without seeking advantage, provides probabilistic insight into their intentions. Emotional attunement is a subtle but telling pattern. True friends demonstrate empathy, noticing when you are stressed, anxious, or excited, and responding appropriately. Their reactions are neither performative nor transactional. Instead, they reflect genuine concern. This attunement is observable in tone, in expressions, gestures, and timing. While no single action guarantees authenticity, repeated, empathetic responses probabilistically indicate a friend who values ethical connection. Consistency across environments and social groups matters. True friends maintain integrity whether in private or public, with different groups or under varying circumstances. But those whose behavior fluctuates dramatically depending on audience or context may be influenced by convenience or self-interest rather than authenticity. Probabilistic observation of consistent conduct across multiple scenarios strengthens confidence in evaluating reliability. Response to adversity is highly revealing. Challenging situations often uncover intentions more clearly than routine interactions. True friends maintain composure, offer support, and communicate ethically under stress, when they do not exploit, deceive, or withdraw without explanation. Observing reactions in moments of tension, disagreement, or inconvenience allows you to identify patterns of ethical engagement that predict long-term authenticity. Attention to nonverbal signals enhances insight. Beyond verbal communication, true friends convey consistency and reliability through posture, facial expressions, and gestures. Subtle signs such as leaning in attentively, maintaining eye contact, and responding with steady energy provide probabilistic evidence of engagement. When these non-verbal cues align with verbal messages, they reinforce the likelihood of authenticity. Patience and timing in interactions also reveal reliability. True friends do not demand constant attention or immediate responses. They respect your availability and energy. By observing how someone navigates waiting, pauses, or delayed responses, you can assess whether engagement is genuine or driven by self-interest. Ethical patience strengthens attraction and encourages connection without chasing. Curiosity and interest in your perspective is a repeated pattern that signals authenticity. True friends ask questions, listen attentively, and integrate your thoughts into conversation without judgment. This form of curiosity is probabilistic. A consistent engagement over time indicates genuine investment rather than performance or manipulation. Observing whether interest is sustained across topics, moods, and situations provides insight into reliability. Boundary respect reinforces ethical patterns. True friends understand and honor your limits without resentment or pressure. Those who adapt their behavior in accordance with your boundaries demonstrate ethical awareness and probabilistic reliability. Observing how consistently someone acknowledges and responds to boundaries strengthens the ability to identify authentic connections early. Reflection enhances pattern recognition. After interactions, Consider whether behaviors aligned with your observations of consistency, empathy, reciprocity, patience, curiosity, and boundary respect. Reflective practice allows you to probabilistically assess authenticity while avoiding assumptions, fear, or cynicism. Over time, these reflections strengthen the ability to recognize true friends with clarity and confidence. Ultimately, true friendship is revealed through patterns, not singular actions. By paying attention to reliability, emotional attunement, reciprocity, consistency, responses under stress, non-verbal cues, curiosity, and boundary respect, you develop the ability to distinguish authentic connections early. Probabilistic observation coupled with ethical discernment allows you to invest in relationships that are meaningful, sustainable, and mutually enriching. When applied thoughtfully, this approach ensures that connections form naturally, without chasing, overanalysis, or manipulation. Recognizing patterns strengthens your ability to identify true friends instantly, increasing the likelihood of cultivating lasting and ethically grounded relationships. Chapter 3. Reading intentions through actions. Identifying true friends instantly depends less on words and more on observable actions. While anyone can express good intentions verbally, actions provide probabilistic evidence of authenticity. Observing how someone behaves over time, in different circumstances and under varying pressures, allows you to gauge reliability and ethical engagement. The first principle is alignment between words and behavior. True friends tend to act in accordance with what they say. If someone expresses support or care, they follow through with meaningful action rather than empty gestures. Discrepancies between words and behavior are often subtle, but repeated patterns of inconsistency provide strong probabilistic insight into authenticity. For example, a friend who offers help but never follows up may indicate a gap between intention and execution, whereas consistent alignment signals ethical reliability. Support during both ordinary and challenging moments is particularly revealing. True friends provide assistance not only when convenient or rewarding, but also during times of difficulty. Their presence is observable in small gestures, checking in, offering advice thoughtfully, or providing practical help without expectation of return. Repeated, reliable support probabilistically suggests authentic engagement, whereas absence or opportunistic assistance indicates a less dependable connection. Response to emotional vulnerability is a key behavioral indicator. When you share concerns, fears, or personal challenges, a true friend responds with empathy, attentiveness, and discretion. They do not dismiss, exploit, or manipulate your vulnerabilities. Observing how consistently someone reacts ethically in emotionally charged situations provides insight into their reliability and long-term authenticity. Actions under social or professional scrutiny offer additional clues. True friends maintain consistency across environments, showing the same ethical and supportive behavior in public or private settings. Those who alter their conduct based on audience or circumstance may be influenced by convenience or self-interest rather than authentic engagement. Probabilistic observation of such behaviors strengthens your ability to identify genuine friends. Non-verbal communication reinforces observed actions. Eye contact, gestures, posture, and tone are all part of the behavioral language that conveys authenticity. For instance, someone who listens attentively, mirrors your energy appropriately, and maintains calm composure signals reliability and presence. While no single cue guarantees authenticity, consistent patterns across interactions provide probabilistic insight into true intentions. Consistency in reciprocity also signals ethical engagement. True friends contribute to relationships without expectation of immediate return or reward. They demonstrate thoughtful effort, balance, and mutual investment over time. Observing repeated acts of ethical reciprocity, even in subtle forms, increases the likelihood that a connection is genuine rather than opportunistic. Observation during adversity is particularly insightful. Challenges, whether personal, social, or professional, tend to expose authentic behavior. True friends maintain composure, offer constructive support, and communicate clearly under stress. Those who withdraw, react impulsively, or manipulate outcomes probabilistically indicate less authentic engagement. Observing behavior in difficult circumstances over time strengthens your ability to identify genuine friends reliably. Attentiveness to patterns of initiative is valuable. True friends do not wait for you to prompt engagement. They show interest and invest in the relationship voluntarily. This can be as simple as checking in thoughtfully, inviting collaboration, or providing assistance when needed. Such consistent initiative, observed over time, probabilistically indicates authenticity. Reflection enhances probabilistic assessment. After interactions, consider whether actions matched words, whether support was consistent, and whether responses aligned with ethical engagement. Documenting patterns mentally or in subtle notes can help distinguish authentic behavior from occasional performance or convenience. Reflective practice strengthens your discernment and reduces reliance on assumptions or overinterpretation. Ultimately, actions speak louder than words in evaluating friendship. True friends demonstrate reliability, empathy, ethical support, and consistency across situations. Observing alignment between intention and behavior, responsiveness during vulnerability, actions under scrutiny, and proactive engagement allows you to recognize authentic connections probabilistically. By focusing on observable behaviors rather than claims, promises, or fleeting gestures, you increase the likelihood of identifying genuine friends without chasing or coercion. Ethical, thoughtful observation of actions creates clarity, enabling sustainable and meaningful connections. True friends reveal themselves through repeated patterns of integrity, attentiveness, and ethical engagement, providing a foundation for trust and lasting relationship. Chapter 4. The role of consistency in true friendship. Consistency is one of the clearest indicators of authenticity in friendship. While initial interactions can feel encouraging, true patterns of behavior emerge over time. Identifying genuine friends instantly requires observing reliability, ethical conduct, and predictability in behavior. These patterns, when seen across different situations, will probabilistically reveal the quality of the relationship. The first element of consistency is emotional stability. True friends maintain steady energy and composure across varied circumstances. They do not overreact to minor issues or fluctuate dramatically based on mood. This consistency allows you to anticipate interactions without relying on assumptions, increasing confidence in the authenticity of the connection. Emotional stability does not imply rigidity, it reflects controlled, ethical engagement and steady presence. Behavioral alignment across contexts is another critical factor. A friend who behaves similarly in private, public, professional, and social settings demonstrates reliability. Conversely, those whose behavior shifts dramatically depending on audience or convenience may probabilistically be less genuine. Observing consistency in interactions across environments provides insight into true intentions. Responsiveness over time reinforces authenticity. True friends engage consistently, not sporadically. They follow through on commitments, respond thoughtfully to communication, and show interest in your experiences without requiring prompting. While occasional lapses are natural, repeated patterns of inattention or absence probabilistically indicate lower reliability. True friends exhibit a pattern of attentiveness that supports ethical and sustainable relationships. Consistency in support is equally important. Authentic friends offer assistance, encouragement, and understanding without waiting for reward or recognition. They celebrate achievements, provide comfort during challenges, and demonstrate ethical engagement over time. By observing these repeated actions, you can probabilistically assess whether someone is likely to be a true ally in both calm and stressful circumstances. Predictable reactions indicate reliability. True friends respond ethically and proportionally to various situations. They do not manipulate, overreact, or exploit vulnerabilities for personal gain. Predictable behavior allows for smoother interactions, reducing uncertainty and fostering trust. While no single response guarantees authenticity, consistent proportionality over time is a strong probabilistic indicator of reliability. Boundary awareness enhances consistent engagement. Friends who respect limits consistently, whether emotional, social, or practical, demonstrate ethical and sustainable behavior. Observing repeated adherence to boundaries signals a friend who values mutual respect and long-term connection. Inconsistent respect for boundaries often indicates opportunistic or superficial engagement. Integration of verbal and non-verbal consistency strengthens insight. Words alone are insufficient. Gestures, tone, and presence must align with verbal communication. True friends exhibit congruence between what they say and how they act, demonstrating steady energy, attentiveness, and ethical consideration. Over time, repeated alignment between verbal and non-verbal behavior probabilistically signals authenticity. Consistency during adversity is particularly revealing. Challenges expose patterns that are less visible during routine interactions. True friends maintain composure, provide support, and communicate clearly under stress. Those who withdraw, manipulate, or respond unpredictably during difficult moments probabilistically indicate less reliable engagement. Observing repeated responses in such circumstances strengthens your ability to identify authentic friends. Reflection enhances probabilistic assessment. After repeated interactions, consider whether behaviors align with previous patterns. Note whether support, attentiveness, and ethical conduct are sustained over time. Reflecting on consistency helps differentiate genuine friends from those whose engagement is convenient or situational. Probabilistic observation, rather than isolated judgment, provides clarity. Ultimately, consistency is the backbone of genuine friendship. By observing emotional stability, behavioral alignment, responsiveness, ethical support, boundary respect, congruence between words and actions, and reactions under adversity, you increase the likelihood of identifying authentic friends early. Consistent ethical behavior fosters trust and creates a foundation for lasting, meaningful connections. True friends reveal themselves not through a single act or gesture, but through patterns of dependable, ethical engagement. By focusing on consistency in behavior and presence, you cultivate clarity, enabling you to invest in relationships that are mutually enriching without chasing or overextending. Ethical observation of repeated actions allows authentic connections to emerge naturally, probabilistically increasing trust and sustainable engagement. Chapter 5. Trust signals and early indicators of authenticity. Identifying true friends instantly requires attention to trust signals, subtle behaviors that indicate reliability, empathy, and ethical engagement. These signals emerge in early interactions and provide probabilistic insight into authenticity. Observing them carefully allows you to differentiate between superficial connections and relationships with sustainable potential. The first trust signal is attentive listening. A true friend actively engages with what you say, responds thoughtfully, and demonstrates understanding. They do not interrupt, dominate the conversation, or dismiss your perspective. Instead, they seek clarification when necessary and provide feedback that shows genuine engagement. While attentive listening alone is not absolute proof, repeated instances probabilistically suggest authenticity. Responsiveness is another key signal. To true friends, respond to communication within reasonable timeframes, not out of obligation, but as a reflection of interest and ethical attention. They follow up on previous conversations, inquire about your well-being, and maintain engagement without coercion or expectation. Patterns of consistent voluntary responsiveness provide strong probabilistic evidence of reliability. Behavior under minor stress or inconvenience often reveals authenticity. True friends demonstrate patience to maintain composure and communicate clearly when small frustrations occur. They do not exploit situations for personal gain or react disproportionately. Observing these behaviors over multiple scenarios increases the likelihood of identifying genuine friendship early. Reciprocal effort signals mutual interest. Early patterns of shared investment, whether initiating contact, contributing ideas, or offering support, indicate that a friend values the relationship beyond convenience. Reciprocity is ethical when it is balanced and voluntary rather than transactional or manipulative. Observing sustained reciprocity over time strengthens probabilistic assessment of authenticity. Consistency in small gestures is another revealing indicator. Authentic friends perform minor acts of thoughtfulness without expectation of recognition. These can include remembering details you mentioned previously, offering assistance when appropriate, or simply checking in without prompting. While small, these gestures, repeated consistently, demonstrate ethical engagement and reliability. Respect for your boundaries serves as an early trust signal. True friends quickly recognize your limits, adjust their behavior accordingly, and avoid pressuring you into discomfort. Early observation of boundary awareness provides probabilistic insight into long-term ethical behavior. Those who respect your limits are more likely to engage sustainably, building trust gradually and reliably. How observing alignment between words and actions enhances early detection of authenticity. A friend who follows through on promises, commitments, and expressions of support communicates reliability and ethical engagement. In contrast, repeated discrepancies between words and behavior probabilistically indicate opportunism or superficial connection. Alignment in both verbal and non-verbal cues provides a stronger, cumulative signal of trustworthiness. Energy and presence reinforce reliability, and true friends demonstrate focused attention, calm composure, and steady energy during interactions. They remain present without distraction, signaling ethical engagement and interest. While presence alone is not a guarantee, when combined with attentiveness, consistency, and ethical behavior, it provides strong probabilistic evidence of authentic connection. Observation during shared social interactions offers additional insight. Early interactions in group settings reveal how someone balances attention, ethical behavior, and responsiveness to both you and others. True friends maintain integrity, communicate respectfully, and demonstrate ethical engagement without seeking dominance or approval. Repeated patterns across multiple social scenarios probabilistically indicate authenticity. Subtle patterns of empathy are also revealing. True friends express understanding, concern, and support without judgment or exploitation. They recognize emotional cues, respond proportionally, and demonstrate patience. While empathy may appear sporadically, consistent recognition and ethical response over time provide strong probabilistic indicators of a reliable connection. Reflection strengthens early detection. After initial interactions, consider patterns of attentive listening, responsiveness, reciprocity, consistency, boundary respect, alignment of words and actions, presence, and empathy. Undocumented or mentally noted observations enhance probabilistic insight without rushing judgment or assuming motives. Ethical reflection ensures clarity and supports informed decisions about relationship investment. Ultimately, trust signals are early indicators of authenticity. By observing attentiveness, responsiveness, composure, reciprocity, small gestures, boundary respect, alignment, presence, and empathy, you probabilistically assess the likelihood of genuine friendship. When these signals do not guarantee certainty, but they provide reliable guidance for ethical engagement. Identifying true friends instantly is not about suspicion, manipulation, or assuming motives. It is about observing consistent ethical patterns and integrating probabilistic insights into your interactions. Early recognition of trust signals increases the chance of forming meaningful, sustainable connections, while minimizing investment in superficial relationships. By focusing on these early indicators, you develop the ability to recognize authenticity efficiently, allowing you to invest attention and energy wisely. True friends reveal themselves through steady, ethical, and thoughtful behavior, patterns that emerge clearly when observed carefully and reflected upon conscientiously. Chapter 6. Non-verbal cues that reveal true friends. While words provide information, non-verbal cues often reveal deeper patterns of authenticity in friendship. By observing body language, tone, posture, and facial expressions probabilistically indicates whether a friend is genuine, attentive, and ethically engaged. True friends communicate consistently through both verbal and non-verbal channels, reinforcing reliability and trust over time. Eye contact is a primary signal of engagement. Authentic friends maintain appropriate, steady eye contact during conversations, signaling attentiveness and presence. Excessively fleeting or inconsistent eye contact can suggest distraction or lack of interest, though it must be interpreted probabilistically rather than absolutely. Observing eye contact in conjunction with other cues enhances clarity about a friend's engagement. Facial expressions reveal congruence between emotion and communication. A true friend's expressions align naturally with what they say, reflecting authenticity. For example, a friend expressing concern will show subtle, empathetic expressions rather than exaggerated or performative gestures. Over repeated interactions, consistent congruence between verbal and facial cues probabilistically indicates reliability and ethical engagement. Posture communicates attentiveness and interest. Leaning slightly forward, maintaining an open stance, and orienting toward you during conversation signals presence and engagement. Conversely, slouched or closed-off posture, repeated distraction, or orientation away from interaction may indicate lower attentiveness. Patterns observed over time provide probabilistic insight rather than absolute conclusions. Gestures enhance understanding and signal authenticity. Subtle gestures, such as nodding in agreement, mirroring energy appropriately, or using calm hand movements, reinforce verbal communication. Over time, consistent alignment between gestures and words indicates a friend who is ethically present and engaged. And while inconsistent or exaggerated gestures may signal superficial or performative behavior, tone and vocal modulation carry critical information. A genuine friend communicates with calm, steady, and appropriately varied tone, reflecting attentiveness and ethical engagement. Sudden shifts in tone, overemphasis, or lack of responsiveness can probabilistically suggest inauthenticity. Observing vocal patterns alongside other non-verbal cues strengthens your ability to discern genuine connection. Micro-expressions reveal subtle but meaningful cues. True friends often display brief, involuntary expressions of concern, joy, or curiosity that align with the context of interaction. While micro-expressions are subtle, repeated observation over time provides probabilistic insight into authentic behavior, particularly when combined with consistency in verbal and other non-verbal communication. Physical proximity and space convey comfort and ethical engagement. So friends who respect your personal space while maintaining appropriate proximity demonstrate awareness and attentiveness. Those who consistently misjudge or ignore boundaries may probabilistically indicate less ethical or less authentic engagement. Observing spatial behavior alongside other cues strengthens overall assessment. Timing and pacing of interaction matter. True friends naturally adjust their communication pace, to match conversational context and energy. They do not dominate conversation or rush responses, but maintain a flow that promotes balanced exchange. Over repeated interactions, consistent pacing signals ethical engagement and probabilistic reliability. Attention to environmental context enhances observation. How a friend behaves in public versus private, in professional versus social settings, provides insight into authenticity. True friends maintain ethical engagement and consistency across different environments. Observing patterns across contexts strengthens probabilistic evaluation, allowing you to differentiate genuine friends from situational acquaintances. Integrating verbal and non-verbal cues creates clarity. Authentic friendship is reflected in alignment between words, expressions, gestures, tone, and presence. Patterns of congruence probabilistically indicate ethical, reliable, and attentive engagement. Isolated deviations may occur naturally, but repeated alignment across multiple interactions increases confidence in authenticity. Reflection after observation is crucial. After interactions, consider the patterns you observed: eye contact, facial expressions, posture, gestures, tone, micro-expressions, spatial behavior, and pacing. Probabilistically evaluating these patterns over time helps you identify authentic friends without making assumptions or over-interpreting isolated incidents. Reflection allows ethical, yet informed discernment and strengthens your ability to recognize true connections. Ultimately, non-verbal cues are a powerful complement to observable actions and trust signals. By paying attention to eye contact, facial expressions, posture, gestures, tone, micro-expressions, space, and timing, you gain probabilistic insight into authenticity. True friends consistently demonstrate alignment between verbal and non-verbal communication, providing clarity for ethical, sustainable engagement. Observing non-verbal cues enhances your ability to identify true friends instantly, supporting meaningful connections while minimizing energy spent on superficial or opportunistic relationships. Patterns of ethical, consistent non-verbal communication complement verbal behavior, forming a comprehensive view of authenticity. Chapter 7. Testing reliability through small experiments while observing behavior and non-verbal cues provides probabilistic insight into authenticity. Small to ethical experiments can further reveal a friend's reliability. These tests are not manipulative, they are subtle ways to observe consistency, attentiveness, and ethical engagement over time. By integrating thoughtful, low-stakes challenges into interactions, you can discern patterns that indicate genuine friendship. The first approach is introducing minor, realistic requests for support. For instance, asking for a small favor, such as guidance on a project, assistance with a routine task, or thoughtful advice, can highlight reliability. True friends respond with reasonable effort, attentiveness, and ethical concern. Those who repeatedly ignore, delay, or provide minimal effort probabilistically indicate lower authenticity. Repeated ethical observation of responses over time strengthens probabilistic insight. Consistency in communication is another early test. True friends maintain engagement without coercion, even when requests are minimal or inconvenient. Sending a thoughtful message and noting the response, timely, considerate, or proactive, provides probabilistic evidence of authenticity. Patterns of consistent, ethical response reinforce your confidence in the connection. Observing reactions under minor stress tests, ethical behavior. Introducing small challenges, such as rescheduling a meeting or presenting a difference of opinion, allows you to observe composure, patience, and reliability. True friends maintain calm, respond proportionally, and communicate clearly without taking advantage of the situation. Over time, these observations reveal whether patterns of ethical engagement exist consistently. Reciprocity tests strengthen early assessment. Sharing effort, resources, or attention, and noting the degree of mutual investment provides insight into the balance of the relationship. Authentic friends respond in kind, contributing attention, support, or thoughtful engagement without expectation of immediate return. A repeated observation of balanced reciprocity probabilistically indicates reliability. Responses to ethical dilemmas provide deep insight. Subtle, realistic dilemmas, such as asking for advice on sensitive matters or observing reactions when others are treated unfairly, can reveal whether ethical engagement is consistent. True friends maintain fairness, discretion, and consideration, even when no direct benefit is involved. Observing repeated ethical responses over time enhances your ability to recognize authentic connections. Timing and follow-through are reliable indicators. Introducing low-stakes commitments and observing whether they are honored without prompting provides probabilistic evidence of authenticity. True friends respect agreements and follow through consistently. Occasional delays are natural, but repeated lack of follow-through reduces probabilistic confidence in the relationship. Observation of small gestures adds clarity. Ethical microtests can include observing responsiveness to minor courtesies, attentiveness in brief interactions, or recognition of details you previously shared. Patterns of thoughtful attention over time provide strong probabilistic insight into reliability. True friends demonstrate awareness consistently without expecting reward or recognition. Non-verbal responses in small tests reinforce insight. Gestures, tone, posture, and energy observed during minor interactions often reveal consistency and ethical engagement. For example, someone who maintains eye contact, leans in attentively, and responds proportionally during a minor request signals reliability. Repeated alignment between non-verbal behavior and verbal communication strengthens probabilistic assessment of authenticity. Observation of social interactions under minor tests provides additional data. True friends maintain ethical behavior, respect boundaries, and communicate appropriately even when other people are present. Those who shift behavior dramatically based on audience may indicate opportunistic tendencies rather than authentic engagement. Probabilistic observation across multiple contexts ensures clarity. Reflection strengthens probabilistic evaluation. After small ethical tests, consider the patterns observed. Follow through, composure, attentiveness, reciprocity, ethical response, micro-gestures, non-verbal cues, and consistency across contexts. Documenting these patterns mentally or in subtle notes allows you to integrate observations over time without assumptions, suspicion, or overinterpretation. Reflection supports ethical discernment and builds confidence in identifying genuine friends. Ultimately, small ethical tests are not manipulative, they are structured observation opportunities. By integrating minor, realistic challenges into interactions, you can observe patterns of reliability, so ethical engagement, attentiveness, and composure. True friends demonstrate consistent, thoughtful responses across these low-stakes tests, probabilistically confirming authenticity. By using these methods alongside observation of trust signals, non-verbal cues, and consistent behavior, you increase the likelihood of identifying true friends instantly. Ethical observation and probabilistic insight create clarity, allowing you to invest attention and energy wisely while fostering meaningful, sustainable connections. True friends reveal themselves through repeated, reliable patterns of engagement. Small, thoughtful experiments simply accelerate the observation of these patterns, enabling confident and ethical discernment in your relationships. Chapter 8: Red Flags and Probabilistic Warning Signs. While recognizing true friends is crucial, it is equally important to identify red flags that may indicate inauthentic or unreliable connections. These are not absolute indicators, rather, They provide probabilistic signals that warrant attention and reflection. Ethical awareness of these warning signs helps protect your time, energy, and emotional investment while maintaining fairness and respect. The first red flag is repeated inconsistency. When someone's behavior, communication, or support fluctuates dramatically without clear reason, it may suggest lower reliability. For example, friends who frequently cancel plans, neglect follow-ups, or respond unpredictably in similar situations probabilistically indicate a less authentic connection. Isolated incidents are natural, but repeated patterns demand attention. Disregard for boundaries is another important signal. Friends who regularly ignore your emotional, social, or practical limits may not respect ethical engagement. They may push for attention, resources, or decisions that violate your comfort zone. While occasional oversight is natural, persistent boundary violation probabilistically suggests lower reliability. Observing patterns of response to limits provides clarity without assumption or judgment. Performative empathy is a subtle but significant warning sign. Some individuals may simulate concern or attentiveness without consistent alignment between words and actions. Probabilistically, those whose expressed concern is not supported by follow-through or ethical behavior may have less genuine intentions. Observing congruence between verbal and non-verbal signals over time reduces the risk of misinterpretation. Manipulative or opportunistic behavior, even subtle, is another red flag. Friends who consistently seek advantage, leverage information, or attempt to influence situations disproportionately for personal gain probabilistically indicate less authenticity. Ethical observation focuses on patterns rather than isolated incidents. It's allowing measured evaluation without overinterpretation or suspicion. Excessive volatility in response to stress provides insight. True friends maintain composure, communicate clearly, and respond ethically under pressure. Those who react disproportionately, withdraw unpredictably, or escalate situations consistently may probabilistically be less reliable. Observing behavior across repeated stressors enhances clarity about authenticity. Unbalanced reciprocity is also indicative. In friends who consistently take more than they give, whether attention, effort, or resources, without regard for ethical balance, may not offer sustainable engagement. Probabilistic evaluation of reciprocity over time provides insight into whether the relationship is mutually enriching. True friends engage ethically without expecting disproportionate return. Inconsistent presence and attention serves as another warning signal. Authentic friends maintain engagement even if minimal, without coercion or manipulation. Those who frequently disappear, ignore communication, or engage selectively based on convenience probabilistically indicate less genuine connection. Observing repeated patterns rather than isolated events ensures ethical assessment. Discrepancy between verbal and non-verbal cues is revealing. For example, words expressing support or care that are not mirrored by attentive gestures, tone, or energy may indicate performative engagement. Key true friends exhibit congruence across communication channels, and repeated misalignment probabilistically signals lower authenticity. Frequent negative comparisons or undermining may also serve as a red flag. Friends who subtly belittle achievements, dismiss ideas, or create unnecessary tension probabilistically indicate less ethical engagement. While occasional honest critique is natural, repeated patterns of undermining behavior warrant reflection on the reliability of the connection. A lack of curiosity or engagement with your perspective is another warning signal. True friends demonstrate interest in your experiences, thoughts, and feelings. Friends who consistently disregard your perspective, dominate conversations, or fail to integrate your input probabilistically indicate lower authenticity. Observation over time rather than a single incident is key to accurate assessment. Reflection strengthens evaluation of red flags. After repeated interactions, they consider whether patterns of inconsistency, boundary disregard, performative empathy, opportunism, volatility, unbalanced reciprocity, absence, misalignment, undermining, or disengagement are present. Probabilistic assessment allows for informed decision-making while avoiding paranoia, cynicism, or assumption. Ethical reflection ensures clarity and fairness in evaluating friendships. Ultimately, red flags serve as probabilistic guidance rather than absolute judgment. But they help you allocate attention and energy wisely, ensuring that your investment aligns with sustainable, ethical, and mutually enriching relationships. Recognizing early warning patterns allows you to maintain clarity and act with discernment without chasing, overreacting, or unfairly labeling others. By combining observation of trust signals, nonverbal cues, consistency, small ethical experiments, and red flags, you gain a comprehensive probabilistic framework for identifying true friends. Ethical awareness of warning signs safeguards your time and emotional energy while reinforcing the importance of fairness, respect, and integrity in all relationships. Chapter 9. Cultivating awareness without paranoia. Identifying true friends instantly requires keen awareness, but it is equally important to cultivate this awareness without fostering suspicion or paranoia. Ethical discernment is grounded in observation, reflection, and probabilistic assessment rather than assumptions or fear. Awareness helps you recognize authenticity while maintaining openness and trust, allowing meaningful relationships to flourish. The first principle is mindful observation. Pay attention to patterns of behavior, consistency, and non-verbal cues without over-analyzing or assigning motives prematurely. Observing repeated behaviors across different contexts provides probabilistic insight into reliability and ethical engagement. For example, noticing that a friend consistently follows through on commitments and respects boundaries probabilistically indicates authenticity. Mindful observation ensures clarity while avoiding judgment based on isolated incidents. Balancing openness and caution is crucial. True friends thrive in an environment where trust is gradually built through consistent ethical behavior. Overly cautious or suspicious behavior can hinder connection, while naivety can lead to repeated disappointment. A probabilistic assessment allows you to remain engaged while observing patterns, ensuring that trust develops organically rather than being forced or assumed. Reflective evaluation strengthens awareness. After interactions, review patterns of reliability, attentiveness, reciprocity, composure, and ethical engagement. Reflection enables you to integrate multiple observations and identify trends without jumping to conclusions. By analyzing repeated patterns rather than single events, you increase the likelihood of accurately recognizing genuine friends. Recognizing probabilistic signals rather than absolutes is essential. Authentic friendship is rarely guaranteed, and behavior may vary for legitimate reasons, including stress, fatigue, or external circumstances. Ethical assessment focuses on tendencies and repeated patterns rather than isolated actions. For instance, a friend who occasionally forgets a detail is not necessarily unreliable if they consistently demonstrate attentiveness and ethical engagement otherwise. Avoid overinterpreting motives. Ethical discernment focuses on observable behavior rather than speculation about internal intentions. Probabilistic observation relies on patterns rather than assumptions. For example, repeated respectful communication signals reliability, while sporadic lapses may have benign explanations. By maintaining this perspective, you protect yourself without unjustly labeling others. Gradual trust building is an important strategy. True friends reveal their authenticity over time through consistent behavior, ethical engagement, and attentiveness. Rather than expecting instant clarity, observe patterns across repeated interactions. Small gestures, responses under stress, and alignment between verbal and non-verbal cues provide probabilistic confirmation of authenticity. Gradual observation reduces the risk of misjudgment and allows relationships to develop naturally. Emotional self-awareness supports discernment. By remaining aware of your own reactions, biases, and expectations, you enhance the accuracy of your observations. For instance, heightened sensitivity during stress or disappointment may distort perception. Maintaining composure, reflecting on personal responses, and integrating repeated behavioral patterns ensures ethical and balanced evaluation of friendships. Maintaining ethical engagement while observing is critical. Awareness should not translate into manipulation, testing, or undue scrutiny. Ethical observation focuses on voluntary interactions, respectful attention, and reflection on repeated patterns. Small, realistic interactions and natural conversations provide sufficient data to assess authenticity probabilistically. Recognizing and appreciating positive patterns strengthens discernment. True friends consistently demonstrate attentiveness, empathy, reliability, and ethical behavior. Acknowledging these patterns reinforces trust, encourages continued engagement, and prevents undue focus on minor inconsistencies. Ethical awareness balances recognition of both strengths and potential red flags, enabling informed decisions without paranoia. Integration of multiple indicators, trust signals, nonverbal cues, consistency, small ethical experiments, and red flags provides a comprehensive probabilistic framework. Observing repeated alignment across these indicators increases the likelihood of identifying authentic friends. Awareness, when practiced ethically, ensures that you remain open to connection while minimizing energy spent on unreliable or opportunistic relationships. Patience is a strategic advantage. True friendship develops gradually, and rushing assessment often leads to misinterpretation. Observing repeated patterns over time, rather than relying on first impressions, provides a stronger probabilistic foundation for evaluating authenticity. Patience supports both clarity and ethical engagement. Ultimately, cultivating awareness without paranoia allows you to recognize true friends instantly while maintaining trust, openness, and ethical integrity. By observing repeated patterns, reflecting on behavior, balancing openness and caution, and integrating multiple indicators, you probabilistically identify genuine connections without succumbing to fear, suspicion, or over-analysis. Ethical awareness empowers you to invest in relationships wisely, fostering meaningful, sustainable friendships built on consistency, reliability, attentiveness, and integrity. Through mindful observation and reflection, you strengthen both discernment and connection, ensuring that authentic relationships flourish naturally. Chapter 10: Building Lasting Connections Through Ethical Awareness. After learning to identify true friends instantly, the final step is to foster lasting connections through ethical awareness and consistent engagement. Recognizing authenticity is only the first part. Sustaining meaningful friendships requires deliberate, ethical effort grounded in respect, trust, and reliability. The first principle is mutual investment in the relationship. True friends consistently contribute to the friendship, offering time, attention, and thoughtful support without coercion or expectation of reward. By observing patterns of reciprocity over time, you gain probabilistic insight into authenticity and sustainability. Investing ethically in the relationship ensures that both parties benefit without manipulation or opportunism. Consistency reinforces trust. Friendships thrive when reliability and attentiveness are maintained over time. True friends follow through on commitments, demonstrate patience, and communicate ethically even during challenges. Probabilistic observation of repeated consistency allows you to identify which relationships are likely to endure and which may require cautious attention. Ethical communication strengthens connection. Transparent, respectful, and considerate communication is a hallmark of sustainable friendship. True friends express concerns constructively, listen attentively, and respond with composure. By cultivating clarity and empathy in your interactions, you create an environment in which authenticity can flourish. Ethical communication also reduces misunderstandings and reinforces trust probabilistically over repeated interactions. Shared values and ethical alignment matter. While superficial common interests can spark initial connection, authentic friendships are grounded in shared principles such as respect, accountability, fairness, and mutual consideration. Observing alignment in values over repeated interactions provides probabilistic evidence of compatibility and long-term sustainability. Friends who consistently act in ways that reflect ethical engagement are more likely to remain reliable and supportive over time. Active listening and attentiveness maintain authenticity. True friends demonstrate genuine interest in your experiences, thoughts, and feelings. Listening attentively, remembering details, and responding thoughtfully over time probabilistically indicates ethical engagement. Conversely, consistent inattention or dismissiveness suggests lower reliability. Cultivating attentive presence yourself reinforces mutual engagement and strengthens the bond. Supporting friends in both success and challenge reveals sustainability. Authentic friends celebrate achievements without envy and provide support during setbacks without judgment. And observing patterns of ethical support across different circumstances provides probabilistic insight into whether a friendship is reliable for the long term. This dual presence, during both highs and lows, signals authenticity. Respect for boundaries ensures ethical longevity. Sustainable friendships recognize personal limits and respect them consistently. True friends maintain attentiveness without overstepping, ask rather than assume, and honor autonomy. A probabilistic observation of repeated boundary respect strengthens your ability to maintain ethical, balanced, and lasting relationships. Integration of verbal and nonverbal alignment reinforces trust. Words, tone, gestures, and presence must consistently align to signal reliability. True friends demonstrate congruence across these channels repeatedly, probabilistically confirming authenticity. Observing alignment over time allows ethical discernment without undue suspicion or assumption. Patience and gradual engagement promote sustainability. True friendships rarely develop fully in a short time. By observing repeated patterns, ethical reflection, and consistent support, you cultivate clarity about which relationships are genuine. Patience reduces the likelihood of misjudgment, encourages thoughtful engagement, and allows authentic connections to develop naturally. Reflection on repeated patterns strengthens long-term insight. Reviewing interactions, noting consistent support, attentiveness, and ethical behavior, and integrating observations probabilistically enables informed decisions about relationship investment. Ethical reflection ensures that trust is earned gradually and maintained responsibly. Encouraging ethical growth within friendship strengthens sustainability. True friends support each other's development, encourage self-awareness, and model ethical engagement without judgment. By fostering an environment where honesty, accountability, and integrity are valued, friendships become resilient and mutually enriching. Ultimately, lasting connections are built on repeated patterns of ethical, reliable, and attentive engagement. Recognizing true friends instantly is the first step, but nurturing these relationships requires consistent effort, ethical reflection, and probabilistic observation. By focusing on reliability, reciprocity, attentiveness, composure, shared values, and boundary respect, you create relationships that are meaningful, sustainable, and mutually enriching. By integrating all the principles from the previous chapters, trust signals, nonverbal cues, small ethical tests, red flags, and awareness without paranoia, you gain a comprehensive framework for both identifying and sustaining authentic friendships. Ethical engagement ensures that your energy is invested wisely, while probabilistic assessment allows you to discern genuine connections without suspicion or over-analysis. True friends reveal themselves not only through consistent behavior, but also through mutual commitment, ethical support, and shared growth. By observing repeated patterns and cultivating deliberate, thoughtful engagement, you strengthen connections that are likely to endure. Ethical, more reflective practice transforms the ability to identify true friends instantly into the ability to build lasting, meaningful relationships that enrich your life consistently over time.